Attention, citizens. It's time for Super Pulp Science.
This is Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how a genre gets made. I am here with my long-suffering... Oh no, Justin, you're not here, are you? You've abandoned us. Well, lucky for me, I've got two other clever, insightful gentlemen on the podcast, and our loyal producer who didn't abandon us for the farm life, Dan Vadeboncoeur. With us today are Lyndon Radchenka and Jonathan Ball, and I would like to put you guys on the spot. Since 10 minutes ago you didn't know you would be on the show, and now here you are, with the following conceit. We've got a number of comic conventions coming up. On the 1st of October, we have a 24-hour comics event. At the end of the month, we have the big Winnipeg Comic Show. And beyond that, in November 16th, is that right? No.
12th.
The November 12th, thank you, Dan, is the Fan Quest.
Just Fan Quest, no the.
Could be the Fan Quest.
Right? Is this like the Facebook moment?
Yes.
Right? No the.
The Facebook.
And I think it's important for us to go on record as discussing the difference between those kinds of events through the following lens. Let's go through the eye of this needle. What makes a person a fan of something? And what are the different ways in which they express that as either a creator or a consumer? Because each of those three events separates those things pretty specifically, I think. So what does it mean to be a fan? Let's start there. Of something.
What do you think, Lyndon? Are you a fan of anything?
Pass it right off to me. To be a fan, I mean, I think there's a level of self-identification that goes into being a fan of something. You almost take it into yourself, and you use it as almost a touchstone of your personality. And I don't mean that in a derogatory sense, but in the sense of you recognize something in it, and you feel that it reflects back into you.
Kind of like the abyss staring also back into you.
Sure, yeah, exactly like that.
I gotcha.
Like the things that we like are often the things that we can identify with, or that we recognize some element of. Something about it feels familiar and exciting.
Interesting. Now, the root word in fan is, of course, fanatic. So I tend to reject it because I don't think fanaticism is a healthy choice. It's kind of a word we took as fan and made it into something else, but...
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't really think of things in terms of fandom ever. Like, I'm not really a fan in that way that people often talk about it. There are things I love. You know, I'm a big fan of, you'd say, colloquially. But well, The Sandman is the example I like to use. So Neil Gaiman's comic, The Sandman, probably the most defining, moment in my creative life was reading The Sandman #6. And to this day, you can look at everything I do, and there's some thread of it that traces back to the influence of The Sandman #6.
But not the series.
I love the series, but
Right.
that specific issue, more than anything else in the series.
So that specific issue stared also into you.
Yeah, so I'm a fan of the series, you'd say so. I've got, a big hardcover. I've got those big absolute hardcovers. I even have the first one, which contains Sandman #6. I got it signed and sketched by Gaiman when he was here. So, by all measures, you'd call me a fan per se. But, I haven't watched the new TV show because I don't know if I care.
Would you consider yourself part of the Sandman fandom?
No, because I don't think of it like...
Because wouldn't they show up for
When
the
I
show?
think of it as, I don't feel like the Sandman speaks to me or the Sandman is part of my DNA or identity.
You just said that it is. You just said that Sandman #6 runs through everything you do.
It's an influence on me. So I look at it as producing, consuming. So I'm a consumer of the Sandman, and I'm producing the Eye Collector, which is influenced by the Sandman because I consumed it. And it had, to me, it's like threads of influence in the artistic tradition.
Okay, so do you think it changes if a person has no or exercises no creative outlet?
I think it's about producing and consuming, yeah.
Well, this is what I'm saying. So your casual, the person who works a job that requires them to clock out at the end of the day and clock in at the beginning of the day, and they spend time going to sports games and they spend time playing billiards maybe they have a few beers, but it never occurs to them that they should write a story.
I think you have to make a decision if you're producing or consuming. So here's the weird example I give. So the reason I'm saying I'm not interested in the Sandman TV series, it's not because I don't think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be great. It looks great, but I don't have I focus on producing things rather than consuming them.
Yeah, it's funny because I talk about that with my kids related to their screen time. So my oldest can use Dreams and it doesn't count towards screen time because he's producing things of his own volition. He's making his own games, he's designing them, he's picking the music, he's manipulating characters, he's doing that. And so I don't consider that to be a waste of time. But I do keep a careful eye on how much time he spends consuming media through a screen, and that is limited in the house.
I spent, I got Netflix.
The floor recognizes Lyndon Radchenka.
I can wait my turn.
You raised your finger, I wondered.
I got Netflix when the pandemic hit. Everyone's getting Netflix, and I got Netflix. That's the only time that I've had television in my entire adult life.
Right.
And it's not because I don't love television. I do love television. It's because I specifically decided when I moved out that I was going to produce things instead of consuming them as my focus.
Right.
I don't have time to do you can't watch TV and make comic books, for example.
Well, there's a few seasons of Voyager that would beg to differ here in the studio. But yes.
Broadly speaking, you can't spend. Look at how many people. If you look at the stats of how much TV people watch, you just can't do that and also have a creative job. I don't think it's possible, personally.
I'm very disappointed in you. You steal the secret of life and death, and here you are trysting with the bubble-headed co-ed. You're not even a second-rate scientist.
To answer your earlier question, I think that people who consume media, we'll say, recreate elements of that media in their daily lives, even if they do not produce artistic works, whether it's in their behaviors or their interactions or the subtle, small decisions that they make in their day-to-day. I absolutely think that the things that people take in are also the things that they put out.
So everyone who watched, it is a good point. Everyone who watched too much The Office on, and I use the.
I've been watching that lately, actually.
Too much The Office, went to work and figured out who in their work environment was the Dwight Schrute.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you consider that to be a creative expression?
That depends on whether or not you want to classify a creative expression as being conscious or unconscious expression.
Must be conscious, I think.
Neil Gaiman, to bring him back up, he had a great point along these lines in some interview I remember seeing with him, where he was someone asked him about coming up with ideas.
Neil, if you're listening to this, feel free to reach out and clarify anything you say.
But he had said something like, most people have tons of creative ideas. All the time you're creating things, but the difference between a writer, say, who is recognized as a creator, and the average person is not that they have better ideas, but that they just recognize when they've had an idea.
Sure.
And they take some step to realize the idea. Whereas his point was the average person will have hundreds of great ideas a day that they just don't recognize are actual ideas. And they look at an artist creator as that person has all the good ideas. It's no, they just are people who are training themselves to notice when they've had an idea.
Okay.
And do something about it.
So pursuant to that, bear with me for a moment. We'll edit out me shuffling through these notes.
I'm going to keep it in.
The note shuffling. Thanks a lot,
Adds realism to the
Dan. Because I realized that...
Well, what I was going to add while you're shuffling through is I've had people before tell me that they're not artistic. They don't think of themselves as being artistic. But everyone is artistic. Whether or not you draw or you paint, you don't have to do any sort of artistic medium to be artistic. It's in the daily decisions that you make that artisticism comes out.
Artistry is the
artist.
word.
Thank you. drive me crazy. You just let me suffer.
Please tune in to
I don't like to call
Lyndon's
myself
new
an
comic,
artist
The
for
Laundryman, where
that
he
reason.
writes it.
Well, I don't like to call myself an artist for that precise reason. People ask me what I do. I say I'm a writer, or I say something else. Like I say, I do what I want half the time.
Okay, but hold on. Let's come back to this idea where you have identified that to consume and to create is a choice, right? And that when you decide to create, a difference between a person who creates regularly and a person who does not, you're saying is a person who can recognize when they've had an idea. So on that thread,
and just spend
I'm
the
teaching
time.
a whole bunch of workshops related to this thing to a whole bunch of students. Correct this idea. I'm going to put an idea forward to you that most ideas fall into these 4 areas. That you first generate the idea, you have the idea generation. Then you have a moment of execution where you say to yourself, okay, now that I've had this idea, I'm going to do something with it. And then you pause after you have something, you draw a picture, you write a poem, you shoot a frame of film, whatever you're doing. Then you analyze what you have done, and then you decide whether or not it's finished. These are the constituent parts of the creative process as I operate in my daily life. Do you agree or disagree with these things?
No, that makes perfect sense to me. The only thing I might add to it, it's not a creative thing, but you then get into the question of whether or not you're sharing it or not.
Yes.
But that's separate from creativity.
Yeah, separate.
But for sure, yeah, absolutely.
That's separate. Okay, so then let's come back to the original conversation, which is what makes a fan. In order for you to become a fan of something, it has to have been finished and shared.
So this is where I'm going to get in trouble. But to me, when I hear the word fan, I think of a person who has professionalized their consumerism,
Right.
which doesn't interest me.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It just is not my interest.
Can you define that for me? What is professionalized your consumerism?
I'll try to define it, and then you tell me if I got it close, right? Imagine now a person who is like, oh my God, I have to make sure I watch all the Marvel shows before the movie. They're putting their scheduled time, of which you only have so much, you'll be dead soon, toward consuming a certain amount of media on a deadline so that they will be freed up to yet consume more media.
Yeah, like your job on a certain level now is to be. I feel like I could either make things or be a fan. And I don't feel like it's.
But what it sounds like
possible
is
to do both.
You're giving yourself a threshold of how much you need to enjoy something to consider yourself a fan.
Exactly.
You're gatekeeping yourself from becoming
Correct.
a fan, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you're just saying, no,
I'm preventing myself from becoming a fan.
I'm rejecting the label of being a fan.
It's
even
not the
though I
label.
consume, no, but it is a label.
I'm rejecting the activity of being the fan.
But if you like something a little bit, you're a fan. If you like something a lot,
I don't
you're
believe
still
so.
a fan.
I don't.
Okay,
so I don't believe so. That's
you
where
are
I'm disagreeing with
rejecting the
you.
label of it. Okay.
So operational definitions are important in arguments. So let's set this operational definition for fandom, that it is a degree and not a category. So it's possible to be a little bit of a fan, like Jonathan.
See, I would consider it a category.
It's possible to be a big fan, like, like, for example, I think our illustrious producer is a bigger fan of the franchise of Star Wars than I am.
See, I would say if you love something, that doesn't necessarily make you a fan, because I would look at it as a category. But that's just where I'm just disagreeing on definitions.
Need an operational definition here
It's
of love?
semantics, perhaps.
Because I'd kill for people I love, but I wouldn't kill for the next
Right?
Star Wars
So you're
movie,
getting into
I don't
like,
love it.
But like now we're into semantic land, So I'm not sure where it comes back to your original question, which is,
What makes a fan?
I have a
makes a
question for
fan.
Jonathan. Is the reason for your thinking because you don't want that stuff to influence your writing and influence your work?
No, I am happy. I would love for it all to influence my work.
Okay.
I just don't have the time
Just
for
a
it.
time thing. It's just a time.
It's a time thing. I don't want to be committed to it. So like, I as much as I love the Sandman and consider it influential, and I go back to it all the time. But like, I don't want to have to make a job out of keeping up with what's going on in the Sandman these days. There's a Sandman universe now.
Because
there's a
so
Sandman
much of it,
TV
you
show.
literally need to schedule.
It's just as much as I love it as an individual. Like to me, like I wouldn't consider myself a fan of it.
So here's
Yeah,
I'm just
I
thinking.
don't get it. I don't agree.
In a moment of self-reflection, I will say this: I am a fan of the activity of reading. I love reading.
Sure.
The activity of reading, I'm a fan of it, whether it's a manual or a comic book. I'll read it. I like reading. Just the whole activity. And one of the things that when I'm dividing my day up that I've had to make concessions of, I can physically read less and less as I physically produce more and more pages of comics. And so technology comes to the rescue with this beautiful new innovation of the audiobook, which when I am doing the ditch digging of illustration, it's fine if I'm listening to Clive Barker's Damnation Game or Where the Crawdad Sings, 2 books that I've just recently listened to concurrently. I would switch between them depending on my mood. I love reading, though. Am I still a fan of reading if I'm now consuming it in another way?
Will be famous.
My question is, are you still a fan of reading, whether you're doing it for 8 hours a day or 10 minutes a day?
So I wouldn't
You're still a
consider
fan of reading.
I wouldn't consider reading to be something you can be a fan of because it's not definable enough.
Okay,
Whereas
so then-
my question to you, Lyndon, is this
Yes.
though. So if you reject my definition of a fan,
Yep.
which is a categorical definition,
Sure.
in favor of, say, a degree definition like Gregory's talking about,
Sure.
what is the point of your definition?
What do you mean, what is the point?
What is the point of having the word fan if it doesn't mean anything categorically?
Well, it means that you express an appreciation for and enjoyment of a thing. That
And
is
I
to be a
think
fan of a
So
thing.
real purpose
you
to-
like something?
Yes.
Here's the purpose.
Then what's the point of saying you're a fan then?
Here's why.
Now it's just an in-group, out-group thing, activity.
Exactly. It is
So
about
to
it.
me, that doesn't interest me as an in-group, out-group activity, and now you're teams, and you're labeling, I'm on the Star Wars team, and you're not on the Star Wars.
It's
To
about
me,
an
now it becomes
idiosyncratic social
your definition, which is a degree definition, to me is so idiosyncratic, it's only useful as a gatekeeping definition.
Correct.
So that's why I don't like it, and I would
So, like,
prefer
for
a
example,
categorical definition.
I am not a fan of Capullo's illustration.
That's comics genius Greg Capullo, for those of you listening at home.
right?
Yes.
Now, not because I don't think it is technically incredible. He is absolutely a phenomenal storytelling artist. I don't feel anything when I look at it. Not because he's not good at his job. He's exceptional at his job. When I look at it as a fellow creator, I go, whoa, I can't do that. Man, there's so much skill involved in what you accomplish, but I feel nothing when I look at it. And so I don't consume it. And so we could make the argument that dopamine is the key in the definition of fandom, right? I receive dopamine at every frame, finished or unfinished, of work I see of Mike Mignola or of Barry Windsor Smith or of Ashley Wood. When I see that work, I instantly feel good. When I look at Capullo's work, I don't feel anything. And this has nothing to do with the technical proficiency of his work. It just does not do anything for me. So I'm not a fan of it. And so maybe all we're really doing in this quest for fandom is trying to identify people who see the world the way we see it. And the only purpose it serves is in that idiosyncratic social group so that we don't have to spend so much time connecting. Connecting with people is so hard. But if I say to someone, man, this is a real Kobayashi Maru, and they're like, I know what you mean by that. Man, yeah, no-win scenario. But I don't believe in the no-win scenario. They say, I like them instantly. Right?
Now I have to go. My alarm went off. But one thing I just want to say though, before I take off, is I think you had a really good point though. Like one of the benefits of fandom, however you define it, is you've got this immediate connection to these other fans who you may never otherwise have even known or met. So if you're both wearing the same
Heavy metal t-shirt.
heavy metal T-shirt, there's another. Even if you guys don't even know what heavy metal is publishing these days,
Right.
there's that connection that you have as part of your identity.
Right.
Well, it's a shorthand for shared interests and values.
Yeah, and values I think are almost the key part of that. So I understand why like fans take ownership on that identity and value level, and then can get very angry at creators as a result. You can have the weird scenarios where like the actual creator of Star Wars is somebody reviled by Star Wars fans in many instances, right? And potentially for good reasons. Not to bring Star Wars into it too much, but
definition candidate Jonathan Ball has to go to another meeting. Do you need a final statement? I can give you 30 seconds for a closing statement on the subject. That is your closing statement?
That was it.
Okay. You don't need to call a friend?
He has to literally drop the mic and then go.
Yeah.
All right. So then,
Dan, the Star Wars fan, is going to take it away.
Now, Dan, this is the greatest thing.
This is a great time for him to come in.
You created Fan Quest with a very different idea in response to how shows were running. I think this is a great way to roll you in here.
Yeah, and it was about, it was almost like, and I think Jonathan's got an he's kind of a contrarian as he's leaving. I'm going to talk about him. It's like
he would say, no, I'm not.
No, he is. Of course. But it's a resistant, and I think part of that comes from the fact that when we're talking about these content, like the Sandman series, which I love, by the way. Have you guys seen it?
I've not seen it.
Okay.
They just released part 3, though.
I guess we're going to hell.
Okay.
So I'm close.
So it's very good.
Spoiler alert.
It's good, but I've honestly never read the comic book. So to me, that's how I interact with Sandman, and that's a great story, and it's great to consume it that way. I do like to create things. I like to balance, but I also create things in the form of events. Like that's how I see myself being creative, and so I created FanQuest. And the idea behind that was, I was an anti-convention kind of thing. Like I don't like the way things are going at this convention, so I'm going to do things differently.
And look at this event you've created here, because what is a recording but the record of an event of people talking in a room here? Right.
There we go.
Yeah.
So
Your art is event.
But what I found is that FanQuest has evolved, and the event evolves and changes as it goes, right? So it becomes a celebration of fandoms. That's really what it is. And so people are coming, and I'm starting to get now more clubs involved and people like who just gather and enjoy things. That's the best part about FanQuest, I think, is all the people who come together just to celebrate the things they love together, right? They really like to have other people who like the same things as them, and that really makes them feel like a part of a group.
Now, do you think that's because so increasingly as specialization overtakes every part of our lives, we are slowly disconnecting from the ability to connect with people of like minds? Because I do this job here in this place. That's the job I was told to do. This is the widget I create. And the person next to me is also good at that widget, but I didn't select to be by them, so I don't have anything in common with them.
Right. Yeah, I think the internet kind of separates us in that way a little bit, in that and it also can bring us together, really, because it will, like things like TikTok will bring you together with other like-minded people. I don't know. It's an interesting question.
Is the medium the message?
Yes.
So then I don't like social media. So every time I participate in it, I am strengthening a message I disagree with.
Is that right?
Well, by definition, it would be.
I guess
Whether
so.
that's right or wrong, I guess, is a degree and not a category.
Yes, Doctor. It's Herbert West. What are you thinking? How do you feel? You?
Now, this may be slightly off track, so driving back
Go
on
ahead, I
track
think
if
we're
we
already
go
there.
off. There's a scene in the first episode of Mad Men in which Don Draper is asking a man why he smokes Old Gold cigarettes and not Lucky Strike.
Toasted.
Yeah.
Well, and the man says, I've always smoked Old Gold cigarettes.
No, they gave him to me in the
smoke."
army, is what he said.
Yeah, and he's smoked them ever since then.
Yeah.
And Don Draper wants to know what it would take for him to smoke Lucky Strike instead. And I liken that,
PSA, smoking is bad for you, don't do it.
but I liken that interaction very similarly to how we look at nostalgia right now, which is I really like this thing because I've always really liked this thing, and I have no reason to really like anything else now. And that's where people are gathering together.
Howard Chaykin, a polarizing figure in comics, if you know of him, but a very interesting man to spend time with and talk to, is the person who really underlined to me this difference between best and favorite. And like, if you could unpack in yourself why it is you say I don't like something and go a little bit deeper, the Capullo is a good example. I know he's one of the best illustrators in comics alive today. I don't like it, though. That doesn't make it bad. Mm-hmm. It just means I don't feel anything for it. And so it's a difference between best and favorite, right? And we're all doing that with everything in our lives all the time. We're basically just binary machines. I like it, I don't like it. I like it, I don't like it, right? We go towards pleasure, we push away from pain, and we do that for our whole lives in every respect.
Yeah, and all these different things, all these different properties and stories and everything just give us an opportunity to choose things that we like and don't like. And that's all we're doing. We're just choosing the things we like, and we're talking, and also like very much choosing the things we don't like, and verbally abusing some people in some cases, right? That goes a little too far. People love to express their opinions. That is really the key part of it.
Well, and I think that's because, again, when it comes to joining a fandom or being a fan of a media thing, it's because it's become a form of self-identification and self-reflection, or they're putting themselves into this fandom and pulling elements of it back into them, and so it becomes very personal. And in that, your personality is to be, with lack of a better term, is very personal to you, right?
Right. So
your personality is personal.
Well, exactly. Yeah, you can see how
I see what he means, right? Because your personality is
as intimate with yourself as you can be.
It's two-sided. It's a shell that's two-sided. You see out of it one way, and people see into it a different way, right? But it is made of the same stuff, right? You decide which is front-facing and which is forward-facing. What was I going to? There was something I wanted to springboard off of that, which is this: in creating an event that's supposed to be for fans, a quest for fans, literally. Mm-hmm. How do you decide how much of the event is for creators and how much of the event is for consumers?
Well, in my mind, they're the same thing. It really is, and that's what I've seen. I know Jonathan, only creates; he doesn't consume. But
he does consume.
Yeah, right. Make sure we're still going. Yeah, but that's I feel like they're the same thing. We do both. The people who are tabling, who are at the convention as artists, are also fans of the things. So that's why it's for everybody. It really is.
Okay, but it can't be. Can't be for everything. Nothing can be for everybody.
I know, and that's maybe one of the downsides of FanQuest is it's too general and too broad. And we're seeing conventions, of course, we have the giant Comic Cons, which is becoming the main thing. Right. But in other cases, a lot of conventions are very specialized. We have anime conventions. We have, very specific fandom conventions. We have one. I was talking to you, I think, about one convention specifically for Carmilla, just for that story.
Yeah.
Right.
We just had Prairie Comics Fest.
Right. There you go.
And there's a difference between interest and momentum, which I think is important to break down. A show like Winnipeg Comic Con has momentum now. Mm-hmm. It's part of your habit to go and express those parts of yourself there. A lot of people have Halloween weekend in Winnipeg as the convention weekend.
Right.
They don't even look at who's coming anymore.
They don't even know it's a different company.
Yeah, they don't even know it's a different company, right? I think they'll realize it this year because there's a much bigger guest profile.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
But the point I'm making is the momentum of the event is now a habit. It's their habit to express their fandom, and they go and do it there. Now, you're making an event that doesn't have the momentum yet, and so you have to create interest. And how is it that you are considering the interest? And we'll use Jonathan's paradigm of consume and create. And maybe that is a way to think about it. Is is there enough things for people to consume? And is there space for them to create? The 24-hour comics event is all about creation, right? The ticket actually, we make $0 on the ticket. Mm-hmm. The ticket goes only to pay the space and the food prep so that people can be fed and watered and have a roof over their head the whole time. Just the host will make $0. It actually costs me money because I'm paying for all the hosts to be there too, right? For the purpose of making a thing for people to create at. And there will be almost nothing for them to consume that is of benefit to me. I'm there in a way to vampirize their energy and just get super excited about making things.
And do you find with FanQuest being, as you said, more general, when we're talking about drumming up interest versus momentum, do you think that you find there's more better attendance when things are generalized, or do you need a wider variety of specific things?
I have no idea. I think probably a wider variety of specific things would be better. I've always thought about when bringing in guests, what can a guest, is there a person who's touched a bunch of different things? Like we had Patrick Sabongui.
Not people, but things.
Yes, thank you.
Fewer people in the industry that do that.
Yeah. No. But yeah, Patrick Sabongui was like, he's not a huge actor, but he's been in a bunch of different things, and he's done a bunch of different things. Same with Umpo Kwaho was also a kind of actor like that. So that's
Patrick
what we look for.
Was a delightful man. That's what we went out for dinner after.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Just great guy.
And all the work he does in the community with at-risk kids, and just so many facets that you don't see in his like, I'm an actor.
Right.
side.
And you wouldn't see that by his performances because he just does, he's usually on screen for a few minutes and that's it. But that's, again, the interesting stories. And that's really what I was focusing on is interesting stories. But I think that you're right. There should be a balance struck. So there is obviously consumption happening. People are buying art. They're buying prints from the vendors and stuff like they're paying to get into the venue. So there's consumerism happening there. But at the same time, we do want to have space for creation. You're going to be running your storyboard. What is it called again? Story in the classroom?
Well, we're going to call it a story quest at yours.
Story quest, that's right.
Danger in the details.
You forget
classroom
that.
Story.
I don't know, because the guys always add quest to everything.
Exactly.
I don't know. Anyway, okay, story quest. Yeah, so you're going to be running so people will be coming up with stories with you.
Yeah.
We're also going to be running panels about self-publishing, panels about cosplay, panels about creating comics. So that's also in the spirit of creation as well. So there's going to be kind of hopefully a balance between those two things.
Of course he's dead. The dosage was too large.
You killed him.
No, I did not. I gave him life.
Cosplay is a great example of people who I will talk to new cosplayers who don't consider themselves to be creative. They're like, oh, I bought this costume, or oh, I bought whatever. But they've always added some accoutrement to it that is personalized, that is them, that only they could have or do or wear. Cosplay is this really amazing facet of expressing the part that you like, almost to the point of like it's overindulgence almost.
Well, yeah, and you're putting yourself out there. Like I even say if somebody, even if the person didn't make the costume themselves, they ordered it, they commissioned it, they got someone else to make it, they're still putting it on.
Yeah.
They're still getting up in this ridiculous. Like some of them are not ridiculous, I shouldn't say that, but I mean intricate, like very, very much lots of different moving pieces, and they're going through that. It's not fun from what I've seen. I've seen a lot of cosplayers who are like
They suffer for it.
and then they're sitting there, they got all their stuff off in the middle. They're like, oh my god, I can't believe it. And then they put it all back on and go over for a couple more hours because they love it. They love the attention, right?
Yeah, I'd rather work 1,000 hours on a book than wear one of those Warhammer cosplays for a day.
Right.
Right.
So yeah, it's certainly a level of fandom, I think, almost above all else, really.
From a purely expressive standpoint, as a creative, how would you differentiate being a cosplayer versus doing fan art?
Fiduciary benefit.
Okay, so it's just making money.
Well, like a cosplayer is doing it strictly for the love. In fact, they've spent all the money and they get nothing from it except other people's joy. Whereas someone who shows up at a show and is selling work that they don't have the rights to, that is so they will make money.
But there are professional cosplayers.
Sure.
And they make money.
Yeah.
Doing the same thing.
Right, and there are professional fan artists. They all work for Marvel and DC.
Well, yeah.
That's all they are, is they're making fan art that is licensed. That's not theirs.
No, but...
And it'll never be theirs.
But how is that likening... isn't the closer comparison the fan artist who has no license but makes money selling fan art the same as the professional cosplayer who also is not licensed but is selling professional whatever work of their cosplays?
No, I don't think that's an apple and apple because of who benefits. The show or the publisher benefits from the A-list guest. So if you have a world-renowned cosplayer, the convention in this structure, like the publisher, invites the talent and then takes credit for the characters and the talent to bring people in the door. If you have Greg Capullo drawing Batman or Spawn, more people show up. But Greg Capullo does not own Batman or Spawn and never will.
So you don't think that it's that the from a purely artistic expression that someone who produces fan art and someone who does cosplay are the same because someone who produces fan art makes money?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm saying there is as soon as there is a fiduciary responsibility
benefit
or benefit. It changes the relationship of whether or not it's art.
All right.
Right. So, because you can start doing you can make fan art just because you want to draw Spider-Man, right? You don't have to have the intention of selling it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the only way you're going to get better at it.
Used
Is if you
David Mazzucchelli Daredevils. I would draw and redraw and redraw and redraw those early, like as a young
Great artist.
Gregory.
Yeah.
right.
Try to trace them. No, how did it? At that time, I had no idea that they were being done 2 or 3 up. I thought they drew them at that scale. And I was like, this is like wizardry. It I was like, if only I could draw bigger, then I could do it.
If only the pages were twice the size.
If only they were twice the size, I could do it. And it wasn't until I was like 15 where someone was like, yeah, they draw those twice the size. I saw original art and I was like, oh shit.
Oh.
That's the magic.
Wow.
Right? Space for it.
Yeah.
Right? So to speak about what you're talking about is casual people can express their love of a thing by simply exploring it. But as soon as you take that exploration and you monetize it, the reason for making it changes. Your relationship with the work has changed as soon as it's paying your mortgage.
Interesting. So you think that the money drives the interest in something?
No, I'm saying the relationship changes. It's a
Okay.
degree, not a category.
Okay.
And maybe that can tie back to Jonathan's thing about being a producer, not a consumer,
That's right.
because you don't get paid for consuming things, and oftentimes you have to pay to consume things.
Pay to consume
So
things,
yeah, and
When
from
I-
his perspective, every time he creates something, he makes money.
Back
so
in like 2004,
But producers don't always get paid.
that's true.
Back in like 2004, something like that, when I was like, I'm going to make comics. I don't care if I don't know how. I'm just going to do it. The goal I set for myself as like, what is a reasonable measure of success? How will I know, have I achieved success? The success level I gave myself in 2004 is, can I earn enough from my comics that the money I spend on comics is 0? And I just set that as a like, so that the thing I love consuming, the thing I'm a fan of, I'm giving as much to it as I'm getting from it, and I'll call that a win. And now I make my entire living off of it in various facets, and it changes my relationship with certain projects. It does. I don't like that it has, but I must admit that it does, because I sort my day and my year, well, my day, my weeks, my months, and my years by some for them, some for me. I'm going to make time, I'm going to earn enough off these that I make enough time to do whatever I want. And if I don't have enough time to do whatever I want, I have to charge more in those other areas. And so my pricing scheme is really about carving out space to be creative with no boundaries, no expectations, no publisher, no collaborator involved. Right? So even though the time in there is pure, I'm a fan of creation. In order to make it, my relationship with the work has changed because I have to.
But it's changed permanently, really, because you now make a living. So it's like that's a shift from being an amateur artist to a professional artist, right?
Right.
So yeah, the nature of the work changes.
Parts. I've never done whole parts.
It calls to mind a Bob Marley quote, some people are so poor, they only have money.
All they have is money.
Right?
How come you knew that?
I'm a man of the world.
Bob Marley, I didn't know. I was going to say every little thing is going to be all right.
No,
It's the only
but
Bob
every
Marley
little
song I
thing
know.
is going to be all right if you recognize that if you're endlessly pursuing the dollar, which you are planning to spend, then you are now endlessly pursuing nothing. It's going to be going real fast.
Yeah. So it is about balance, right? It is about like really. I mean, and honestly, do you guys feel like drained after you create something? Do you feel like no?
Fired up.
Really?
Oh my goodness.
Okay, maybe it's just me. Like I find after I spend a lot of time working on something for an event or whatever, then I want to like go watch Star Trek or something, and I have to decompress and re-energize, I guess.
Both drained and refilled.
Right?
That's how you feel?
Yeah. Like I feel accomplished, but also hungry.
Right.
Oh, let's do some more.
It doesn't need to be like 100 speed all the time.
Yeah. Well, it can't be.
No, it can't
Right,
be.
it can't be.
But there's definitely an excitement still that underlies the completion of an event and the excitement to to do more.
See, once I started looking into this idea of like idea generation, then you execute the idea, then you analyze it, and then you decide whether it's finished. And like this paradigm, when I started looking into that, I realized that in my day, when I really started like self-reflecting, I'm the happiest when I have one project on the go in each of these stages every day.
Okay.
I like to, and if we work backwards, I like to finish something and be able to say to my collaborators, that's done, here, take a look at it. I like to analyze something that I have made and be like, is this any good? How can I improve it? I like to be making new work, and I like to be coming up with ideas with my collaborators or on my own. And if I'm doing that, if I'm switching that channel every day, I can handle anything. That's the part of me that's the most fulfilled. Family dynamics, dramas, crash in the stock market, a physical crash into the side of the building near me. Any of those, I can handle all that stuff if I'm full, and I've been doing all that kind of thing. And it's taken me a long time to realize that that's Gregory at his happiest. Right? And you can plug and play like conversation with son, wife, friend into many of those sort of zones, but
I think that's probably accurate for a lot of people. If they can identify, their basic need of what brings them joy, brings them happiness, makes them feel fulfilled, if those things are happening for them, then the rest is outside noise.
Okay, but look at this. If we look at the consumption, this is just me having this thought right now, so maybe it's so bad we should edit it out, but let's run with it. If we look at consumption under this same paradigm, a person who has gone to work at a job that they must do, it's just a must do, a repulsive essential, pay the bills, roof, food, family, but they don't want to be there. How often are they being asked to generate an idea? Almost never. In those instances, how often are they being asked to execute actions? All the time. How often are they allowed to analyze those actions to see if they should be improved? Almost never, because they just have to repeat, right? And is their job ever finished? No. So they're just executing every day. And the consumption of media allows them to have a new idea. I think I will watch this. I wonder if this is any good. Analyze it. Oh, what a great episode. Finish it. And now your day is full.
And now they become a fan. Let's bring it back around to the beginning. Now that's when they become a fan, and then becomes a part of their identity, and then they shout it from the rooftops.
And does that identity allow them to forget the parts of themselves they don't want? And it comes back around to what you were saying, like when we were talking about the void looks also into you, right?
Yeah.
Work sucks. Oh man, it was so hard. You come home, you flump, as we call it in my house, and you just consume some media.
Well, that media fills you, if it's the media you enjoy, fills you with the feelings that you want to feel, not the ones that you're forced to feel at the points of your life that you don't enjoy.
Right. Yeah, interesting. I'm a fan of the feeling that all Studio Ghibli films give me.
Ghibli.
What did I say?
Ghibli.
Giblets. That's when you cut something into small pieces.
I think those are giblets.
Giblets?
No,
oh no. Is it J? Is it
GIF or GIF?
GIF or GIF?
In your defense, there is an H in Ghibli.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for
Ghibli.
defending me. The point is, the feeling I get from watching those movies, I always want to draw, create, write stories, make things with ma in them, and that never goes away. It doesn't matter which one it is. But I don't like all the movies equally.
Yeah.
Right? Ding. How are we for time?
We can wrap it up. We got about 10 minutes, I guess. So, I don't know. What else? Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Wow. Well, I just feel like we've had a really interesting conversation that I didn't intend.
Yeah.
And, I did intend us to have an interesting conversation for the dear listeners' sake. I didn't know it would be quite so filled with nuance. So I'm pleased. Thanks for coming on the show, you guys. What can people expect from FanQuest?
I think it's going to be just a lot of fun. Just creators coming together, sharing their stories, talking about what they do. Steven Kostansky is coming. He is a great guy. He's, of course, been at FanQuest before. His latest film is Psycho Gorman. Have you seen Psycho Gorman? Have you seen Psycho Gorman?
Yeah.
It's very good. He wants to bring, I don't know if he's going to or not, but he talked about bringing one of his suits, one of the Psycho Gorman suits with him, which is like a special suit that...
It's like imagine Guar plus Power Rangers times like Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So anyway, he's going to be talking about that kind of stuff, and we've got you're going to be there, Justin. Of course, you're going to be there, Lyndon, and we're just playing out the panels now. Actually, should have the panels up, the programming up this week, and we have someone offering to do an authors panel, great cosplay panel with our cosplay guest.
So let me ask it this way: if I've never been to a convention, and I asked you, Dan, what's a fan quest? How would you describe it?
I would say it's a nerdy art show with panels. There, you can talk about it that way.
All right.
And gaming, actually. You should say there's also going to be gaming area as well. So it'll be tabletop games and video games. So just people can just show up and have fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, however you express your fandom, whether you think it's a degree, a category, or a categorical line to draw between you and Lyndon, this has been Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how genre gets made. I'm Gregory Komichek, encouraging you to join the fight and make comics.